I'm Amy, sex educator, somatic sex and relationship coach, and sex shop owner.
And I'm April, VP of an international high-end pleasure products company and boss queen sex toy mogul. We're best friends who make our own rules about who we are as sexual beings.
With everything from how to be a badass in the bedroom to top tips for bringing your relationship to the next level, we have something just for you.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com. Hello, everyone.
Hey, folks.
April was just cracking me up before.
I was singing a nice little song about going number 2.
I love how you still call it number 2.
Thank you, number 2.
Oh, God. We're a little delirious. We're in San Diego on a business trip. Our flight was delayed by 3 hours. So it feels
we
like
could have driven down here.
And it feels like we traveled all day to get, like it was an hour, really only an hour flight, but we traveled kind of all day.
Yeah, it was. We had just one glass of wine at the airport. Now we're
having, you brought a bottle of Margins wine.
Yes. And I really want to give Megan a shout out because this new release, she just released her two fall wines. And if y'all aren't on her mailing list, she doesn't send out very many newsletters. It's probably maybe 1 or 2 a year because I'm on the list. And she just sent out an email about her new releases. So there's a Mouvedre.
It's really good.
It's so good. We're drinking it right now. And then there's a Cab Franc that we also have had. And remember, if you use the code ShamelessSex10, it is a 10% discount of 3 to 6 bottles. And if you order 6 or more bottles and use the code ShamelessSex15, you'll get 15%. And that's exclusively for our listeners at Shameless Sex, because this wine is, I just want to say, it's one of the best wines that I've drank in a long time. How often do I drink wine at restaurants and things?
Often.
Often.
Is that code ShamelessSex 10 and 15? Is that in all caps?
It is. It's in all caps. And
good to know.
It doesn't expire. So if you bought 3 or maybe you buy 1 and then you want to buy another, round, it doesn't expire. So it might, we haven't talked about it. So use it. If you're listening to this, use it ASAP because Megan perhaps will put an expiration on it. And she runs out of wine, by the way. This is her first batch that she's had in a long time. She was out for a while. So get it while it's good. And tell them about what you love about the wine, Amy, because you like a lot of things about it.
I just love, this is my first time trying this exact one. What is it called again? Mouvedre. Yeah, it's really good. I'm not very good at describing wine.
How would you describe it though, if you could?
I said I'm not very good at it.
I know, but try.
It's delicious.
Nice.
Tastes like grapes.
Tastes like fermented
It's
grapes.
really good. No, it's really good. I don't have the words.
I get berries. It's very fruit forward, but it has a smooth finish. And a lot of wine tasting is about the aroma. Did you know that?
Yes.
And
they smell different from like the different parts of the glass where you put up to your nose, right?
Yes, and that's why you swirl kind of to release a lot of the. And I'm not a wine expert by any means. I do not consider myself a wine expert. I have tasted wine in many different countries, from Israel to Chile to France to all over the U.S. And I would say that what I've learned is swirling the wine in your glass kind of helps the aromas of the wine release, and it kind of aerates the wine to give it its full body that it's capable of, because it's all bottled up and dark for a while.
It's delicious.
There's a really great documentary, and if you ever are just bored and watching Netflix, watch Somm. It's about sommeliers, and it's actually really entertaining. I think you'd enjoy it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Why
what else?
Not? Well, what else? So this episode, we're going to talk about female ejaculation. Squirting.
I have myself a fascinator now.
Oh, the waterproof blanket?
Thank you to Peer Pleasure. Thank you, Peer Pleasure.
Oh, yeah, was that your birthday or Christmas present? One of the two.
I think it was a little bit of both. However, I love it. And Hanukkah. I use it on my couch the other day because I didn't want to get snail trails on there. And it worked out
I
nicely.
love the term snail trails.
It looks like little snail trails, like a banana slug
When
trail.
you scoot your vag all along the the green couch.
I'm not a dog, Amy. I don't scoot along the couch.
A dog with worms.
Dishes.
Yeah, the fastener is awesome. It's a waterproof blanket. You can pour like a whole cup of water on it, and the water doesn't seep through. And then you can just throw it in the wash when you're done using it. So it's designed for squirting female
And it's
ejaculation.
a really soft material. It feels really good.
It's luxurious.
Luxurious. And
It's like a luxurious waterproof blanket.
You can get it in different colors. I think you have it in Pure Pleasure has it in purple, black.
I mean, I don't know what they have in stock in this very moment, but we often have them. But yeah, it's on the website if you go to purepleasureshop.com. And our listeners get 15% off with coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps. And with that said, this is the last episode of August, I believe. I'm pretty sure. If so, then it's the last
Because it's Anal August.
episode of Anal August, our favorite month ever. Hooray. I just taught an Anal 101 class, a free one at Pure Pleasure.
How was it?
It was fucking awesome. It's my favorite thing to teach because the topic just makes people super nervous but this group was awesome. They were all laughing and asking questions. Usually it's kind of crickets out there because like, oh my god, it's so taboo.
I've sat through I think 2 or 3 of your anal classes.
Oh,
I've learned a lot when I sit in your
You've been
classes.
to sit in that many of my anal classes?
I have because we've been on the road and you've taught at different shops before, like one in Ohio. I think you did one down south. So yes, I have. I get new information every time I go.
Well, now you're good at the ass.
Now I'm like ass pro.
She's a pro at the ass. And actually, I'll just because it is Anal August, we're not really recording an ass episode this month. I think we did on episode like 50 or 51. We did a new Anal 101 class or episode. Sorry, so
It's one of our most listened to episodes actually.
people love
in the
their
stats.
anal.
So check it out if you haven't listened to it.
It's the universal orifice, man. Everyone has
And
one.
I feel like now I can actually even talk more about the ass because I have experience.
Yeah, and now you've tried the toys in your own ass.
Tried toys in my butt, fingers, penis, and just one.
A gerbil.
I didn't make that plural. Did you hear?
One
Penis.
gerbil. One penis.
No, I don't. That's animal cruelty, gerbil in the butt.
No gerbils?
No. And I have a question for you about gerbils.
Yes.
Where is their natural habitat?
The Amazon?
Besides the pet store. Like, really, I was thinking about them. Like, where are gerbils actually from? Like, where do they get these?
I think they're like little field creatures. I'm not sure. Do you want to Google it?
No.
Yeah.
I want someone to write us and tell us.
I wish we were as cool as Joe Rogan and we could just tell someone, hey, go look this up for me. And there's like the assistant that just pulls it up.
Speaking
Gerbils.
of assistants.
Oh, yeah. Wait, I didn't finish my part.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So anyways, Anal August, everyone. So yes, you always get 15% off at Pure Pleasure with coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps. But for August, we're doing 20% off of all anal toys. That's plugs, that's beads, that's anything in the anal section. If you click on the anal toys section part of the website, use coupon code, wait for it, AUGANAL18. That's AUGANAL in all caps and with the numbers 18 at the end. You use that during checkout, you get 20% off at purepleasureshop.com on anal toys. And our last episode, we talked about some of our faves, but
if you had one bit of anal advice right now to give somebody out there listening that hasn't listened to the episode, just one bit of advice, what would you say about the anus? Go.
Always use lube. The ass does not lubricate itself. Go really slow. If you're the person being penetrated, you should be in control of being at least in the beginning until your ass opens up. Use fingers to relax the anal sphincter muscles. And use toys. Use plugs. We love the plugs. Love the Booty Plug by Fun Factory.
And it's really affordable. The Booty Plug is, I think, $34.
Or you can have butt bling, too.
Oh,
There's even like stainless steel
with like
plugs
a Swarovski crystal.
that pops out of your butt so you look like your butt is a little princess.
Mm-hmm.
My princess ass.
You can get a like a My Little Pony rainbow.
Ooh, yeah, tail. Oh, yeah.
Or like a foxtail.
A pigtail.
You get a pigtail.
A bunny rabbit.
You can get a bunny.
Okay, that's
No
Easter.
bunnies were hurt in
No
this
bunnies were hurt in the
episode.
process. Yeah, that's a little bit. And then we also have an Anal 101 class online at purepleasureshop.com. You can take a whole class. It's like an hour-long class, and you can take it from anywhere at home. Just go to online sex ed. What were you going to say? You said you had something very specific. Oh, an intern.
Well, we are looking for an assistant intern, like an executive assistant, but we would love for somebody that's passionate about our show, about our mission and what we're doing, hopefully an avid listener. and you're listening to this right now, or maybe you're an avid listener that knows of a friend or person that would be interested, probably a student or someone that has 5 to 8 hours a week maximum to donate to Shameless Sex. It might be less. This position would also open up new doors for you. Amy and I do travel. You may be able to travel with us paid eventually. And also we would be paying you if we love you after we begin to be able to expand and explore new ways and avenues to monetize what we're doing, which is a process for all of us. And right now it's all done voluntarily because we love everyone out there in listening land. So coming back to it, if you are out there and you want to help Shameless Sex and be our executive assistant / intern, please email us ASAP and let us know. It's really just going to be clerical, easy organization stuff to begin with. And remember, both Amy and I have great connections. Amy's a sex educator, and I am pretty well involved in the sex toy community. So there are endless opportunities for you, whoever's listening, that's our future intern, in those realms. And we would, of course, help you grow and prosper. So, yeah, I'm putting it out there. We need an intern.
We need an intern. And yep, we're preferring someone in Santa Cruz Bay Area that we can meet, but
this is true.
We're open.
We are open. It would just be easier because obviously one-on-one time, coming over to my house, hanging out, and helping us with our projects that we have going on because we are busy. And we're releasing there'll be an online workshop that Amy and I are working on. We're done filming it. However, we are editing it now and making it perfect. So it's an in-depth online workshop, and we'll tell you more about that when it's ready. But we're thinking a launch date of October for that. It's just a lot editing, so we're working on that right now as well.
Exciting. So exciting.
Should we do a sex question?
Let's do a sex question. But tell me what is the most, just a quick Cliff Notes version of the most exciting thing that's been happening in your sex life in the last month?
Well, I'll say this. We had to abstain from sex because we were doing this retreat, obviously.
Oh, yeah. We did a retreat together.
We did a retreat together. And my partner was also involved in the retreat, so we couldn't have sex for 5, I think we did 6 days. No masturbation either.
Whoa.
So
were you like rubbing your genitals against things because you were so horny?
I actually became really turned off. I was just out of my head, and I was really focused on just my inner workings and doing affirmations and focused on me and my spiritual growth. So I was not sexual. I didn't even think about sex really. It became interesting how I just turned it off because I have never done that before.
Yeah.
And he did as well. So we definitely, we sleep naked. So we always spoon. So like it was there, and he woke up with like a raging boner one day, and I was like, oh, hey. It was just butt morning wood, it wasn't induced by anything, but we were just like kind of laughing about it. So that being said, we had really intense, connected, really great sex for the first time when we're recording this today. It was yesterday. And oh no, was it this morning?
Same. It's been a long day.
It has been a long day. I felt like it was yesterday, but I think it was this morning. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It does feel like it was yesterday.
It's been a long day. It's true.
So this morning, and it was really beautiful. And it was, I'd have to say, some of the most spiritually connected morning sex that I've ever had. And it was really
post-retreat morning sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was really, I felt so great just to connect with my partner on another level. And it was very pleasurable as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that was something that was different for both of us. And I don't know if it was the abstaining. I think it had to do with the retreat and all of the work that we were doing there. Because for our listeners out there, it's really good to do work on yourself. Once you start doing work on yourself, especially if your partner's on board with also doing work on themselves.
Yeah, and you do
or
it side by
partners.
side, which is like a special.
Yeah, it was special, and we were both on the same level. So that's the most exciting thing. You were talking about sexually, or were you talking about overall?
Sex.
Yeah, sexually, that's, I think, the coolest, brightest thing that's shining for me to tell everyone right now. What about for you?
Perfect. Me. Oh, my partner and I had really, really beautiful connected sex for the first time in a while. I mean, we've had sex in a while, but we've been going through a lot of stuff, and a lot of really hard stuff, and like a lot of like, are we going to do this anymore stuff? And so luckily for us, or we're luckily, I would say luckily because we're both on the same page, we can't really have sex with each other when we're not feeling connected. Sometimes what happens to people is one partner still like sexes their way like to connect and to fuck it out.
I'm that partner.
You're that person. See,
Yeah.
and the other person's like, whoa, I need connection first. That happens often for my partner and I. We both need connection. So, or if we do have sex when we're feeling like there's the resentments and in things and questions, we can have good sex, but it's not usually really great sex because we're so in our process. And we had some big breakthroughs in our work together and had sex, and it was just really, really connected. And I also, I was riding him on top, and I had my eyes closed, and then he closed his eyes, and I usually open and close my eyes, but I deliberately kept them closed for a long time. But I would open them to see if his were still open or closed, and they were closed. And so I can just really feel my body when my eyes are closed. And we talked about this before. Like, if my eyes are open, I'm like 50% in, 50% out. It's hard for me to focus on what's happening in my body. But by having my eyes closed, and I was just like riding him really slowly, like none of that bunny rabbit up and down, just like the pelvis rocking back and forth. And even after I had an orgasm, I kept, and he had an orgasm too, I kept rocking my pelvis but really slowly with my eyes closed, with my hand on his heart, on his chest. And I had this like really long mini orgasm that just kept going. And then he had his eyes closed too. And we just stayed in this connection for a long time. Usually after I have sex, especially if there's like ejaculation going on, it's kind of like, after a minute, it's like, okay, I'm going to move, I'm gonna clean things up. But we just stayed and we stayed for a long time and just like no rush to move, stayed connected, stayed with our eyes closed, just stayed connected and breathing together. And it just was really sweet and really beautiful. And yeah, so it's good to have great sex again.
Sounds like we both had spiritual sex.
Spiritual sex,
Can I share one more thing?
Yeah, tell me a story.
Won't be a long one.
Once upon a time.
On our last night that we could have sex, before the abstaining part came, I did this whole funny little thing because I have a drawer full of lingerie from, remember when I lived in LA and I lived next to my neighbor would trade me lingerie for sex toys because she was in the lingerie industry. So I have all this lingerie with the tags on it. And so I told him I'm trying on dresses because I'm going to this wedding in Italy. And I was like, hey, can I do a fashion show for you? And you can tell me which dress I need to wear to this wedding. And he was kind of like, okay, yeah, sure. Like fashion show. So I was like, okay. So he left to go do something, like had to leave the house. And then he came back and I was like, are you ready for the fashion show? And I put on like this super slutty piece of lingerie with my best stripper heels. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what do you think of this to wear to the wedding? And I walked down my stairs and he was like, oh, okay. And he was so excited. And then I threw it on the fascinator blanket on the couch and we had sex in my lingerie, and I had these little, he took off with my stripper heels on, he took off my lingerie with his teeth.
Oh, right out of a strip club, girl.
That was hot. And then we fully had like a really fun, awesome session. I brought down some toys too. I brought down like the 4 hog tie system. Uh-huh. I brought down that and I was like, you can pick whatever you want. And I brought down like a blindfold and like a little, like a flogger and a few other things. And I told him, and a couple of toys, and I told him he could use whatever he wants on me. And I'm like totally surrendering to all of it. It was so fun.
Sounds really fun. Sounds sick.
Yes. And that was, I think, like I recommend anyone out there, even if lingerie isn't your thing, or but playfulness, because lingerie I would not say is my thing. I'm pretty, I don't know, I'm pretty simple. I like to be naked. That's about it. I don't really love in a sexual experience to have a lot of things and objects, and I do love toys, but that was so fun with the lingerie. If you want some, you can go through my lingerie drawer. I have stuff that because your boobs are much bigger than mine, that the cups are way too big, and I would look like a 12-year-old trying to wear mom's lingerie.
Big girl bra.
Yeah, it still has the tags on it and everything.
Perfect.
So if you want to come over and go through my lingerie drawer.
So
I even have matching eye masks and things with it.
Yeah. Hey,
crotchless panties for days.
I wear lingerie, and I just like, I'm kind of a hippie, right? Like I kind of
No, you don't say.
Naked and okay, I'm a big comfort person. Like if the laundry is comfortable, I'll wear it, but most of it's not, and that's an issue.
What
for
does
me.
Esther Perel say about get out of the flannel pajamas?
Oh, I don't wear flannel pajamas.
I know.
I wear
but
naked.
It's a metaphor.
Yes, but I wear naked. Naked is not flannel pajamas.
Well, you're gorgeous, beautiful, amazing, and I'm sure you'd rock flannel pajamas.
I do not own flannel pajamas. This is not flannel.
Okay, you're getting defensive.
You're looking.
I'm looking at her,
Ready to press
her
pause.
pajamas.
You're looking at me right now. I can see you breaking me down with your eyes.
No, I'm not. I'm wearing a onesie right now with my boobs out.
Your onesie's sexy though, and it looks comfy. See, so something like that's really comfortable, and it actually is sexy because your nipples are out right now.
Yeah, it's just a little big. That's why. But anyway, But please go on. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
What does Esther Perel say about flannel pajamas?
She said that.
What did she say? Tell our listeners what she says.
That effort, sometimes having yourself feel sexy can bring out this new light within. Like if you're going home every day after work, throwing on your flannel pajamas, not doing things for yourself to get in that space of sexiness and playfulness. And we've suggested this on our Spicing Up Your Sex Life episodes, that that can be really a killer, like the flannel pajamas. It's like an epidemic of a sort, because there's this mentality, and I can't remember if it was from the book or one of the episodes that I listened to. I really can't remember because they were all audible. It was a thing though, the flannel pajama syndrome. Yeah,
the syndrome. Yeah, it's the I'm super comfortable, and I think it also comes with folks having body shame too. Like when their bodies change, they start to wear bigger, baggier clothes to cover things up. So it's kind of there. So they're like, how do I?
Or you just had a kid. I mean, this is a lot of even our friends that are having children, and some of yours are as well. You're just a mom and. Or a dad, you can be a sexy mom, like what Ashley Shakti said on, is it Shakti or Shanti? Shakti on the sex and pregnancy episodes, that she was not loving being categorized as the mom. You know, she was like, I want to be a mom and I want to be sexy, and that they can still go hand in hand. But it's part of it is a reframing in your mind, and then also is being comfortable in your skin. And sometimes that's a process. And even if you're not comfortable with your body, you can still find pieces that look great on you, that accentuate your beautiful parts, like we did on our S Factor episode, where find a bit of your body that you love.
Yeah,
there's
focus
something.
on that one. Yeah, part.
Maybe you love your feet. Maybe you love your knees. Maybe you love your chest. Maybe you love. There's so many things. Your hair. So find what you love and play that part up. And if you don't love anything about yourself, then look in the mirror and know that you are beautiful.
My hair is awesome.
Yeah, your hair is amazing.
You have beautiful green eyes.
Thank you.
You're really tan.
Yeah, I know.
I like your six pack.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's see. How about we go into female ejaculation, then we do sex question at the end. Let's switch it up, see what that feels like.
Well, that might be hard for our intern later.
Oh, sorry, intern. Well, who's not here? The invisible intern.
I'm just looking after them. The imaginary intern. I'm manifesting them right now.
Okay, well, intern, if you're listening,
it's at the end of the episode.
The sex question at the end. The sex question at the end is about a long distance relationship and how the couple can continue to navigate their sexual connection, body changes after a hysterectomy at age 22, a young person.
Oh man.
And how they can continue to stay connected to their partner as their sex drives have changed. So
It's a good one.
Yeah, so we'll go over that in a little bit and have some references for retreats and different ways that they can start to work together. But before that, let's talk about some female ejaculation. Fejac.
I'm an ejaculator.
A squirter. So let's first off. So there's squirting, and then there's gushing. Are you more of a gusher or a squirter? I'm a gusher.
I know. I heard.
You heard? That's because I slept with your man before you were together.
Yeah, it's like, Amy's a gusher. I'm like, yeah, thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
I knew that you were good at producing a lot of fluid because you had told me when you had the blockage. You were like, I produce a lot of fluid.
I'm kind of back on a blockage right now, too, by the way.
Oh, man, that's scary for you.
Yeah.
It's like trauma.
Yeah.
That was traumatic for you.
I go in and out. I go in and out of having this, like, the floodgates are open and it's easy to access through G-spot stimulation. And then I'll go through phases where I think a lot of it's like the neural pathways, the stories in my brain that say, like, it's easy for you to ejaculate. And then I have a couple experiences where it's not, and then it becomes the default for a little while. And I go in and out. Right now I'm kind of like on an out phase.
I'm not a gusher.
Yeah.
Mine's just
Squirting?
kind of
like, pss, pss,
no,
pss.
it just kind of
That's gushing. So squirting is the projectile.
Oh no, mine just
gushing. It's like little mini puddles.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh, see, I thought the gushing was like the full like.
No, gushers are more like little, and I think more people are gushers. So it's like little bits of fluid coming out.
That's what
and kind of dribbling down the skin, down the thighs.
Mine would be like almost if you're urinating, like and you're laying on your bed urinating, like that's what it.
It's not like it's not a constant flow of urine though. It's more like.
No, mine's a constant flow, but it's not a squirt. Like it's not projecting.
Okay, but it comes out for a while.
It comes out for a while.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's like a puddle.
But it feels different than urinating.
Completely different than urination, and it has just it like almost has no smell and barely any color. And it sometimes, and we've talked about this before, and I'm sure you'll tell our listeners, sometimes it has a tiny smell of like you can smell a little bit of like urine, but
it comes out of the urethra. So I mean it's not coming out of the vagina, it's coming out of the urethra. And so yes, there will be traces of urea in it because if you've ever peed before, you have urea in your urethra too. So
who's Rhea?
Urea. April's Rhea. Rhea. Uh-oh.
Rhea. No, not that one.
Oh gosh.
So so I guess I'm a gusher.
You're
then.
A gusher then.
I was just thinking gusher, like
Old Faithful.
Yes.
The geyser.
The geyser. It's like, oh man.
Just explosions. No, I think most people are gushers. And there are squirters too, and that's what you usually see in porn.
Right.
And squirting, when it does the projectile, and the same thing with for male ejaculate too. When you see it travel really far, it's based on muscle structure. So people have really strong pelvic floor muscles, and then they push out when they're ejaculating. They kind of bear down or push out. They can projectile the fluids, and this is the same male ejaculate, female ejaculate as well.
I've never seen anyone that's been able to. I've never been with a partner that's been able to,
like, really shoot
a load.
I think I have seen it before. I'm definitely not that intrigued by it. Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, that's cool. And I have seen like female ejaculation squirting before, but it literally is. It's not like shooting across the room. It's like maybe like a foot or something. And
do you think that because I have a friend a female friend that is like really accurate when she pees, like in the snow and stuff. Like we've been on ski trips and she can like spell her name, like aim and spell her name in her pee. Do you think she would be like a squirter?
Probably. I mean, it sounds like she has really strong muscles.
Yeah, it has to be that,
and
right?
She's well practiced in that fine arts.
I'm like, damn, that's great. You just spelled your name. Like, I'm so proud of you.
Well, and that's the thing about like pee, like in terms of urinating, you can actually learn how to urinate. A female body person can learn how to urinate well standing up by just pulling the labia back in the right way.
She was doing that.
Yeah, so she's just really well mastered in that art.
I wonder how she learned that trick.
I don't know. She just got bored one day and decided she's going to start practicing writing her name in the snow.
Yeah, she's drinking a lot of fluids.
Yeah, but I mean, so for female ejaculation, it's there's a similar thing there in like the muscle structure If your muscles are weak, then your ejaculation and your orgasms will probably be weak, or you'll have less control over them.
And if you don't know how your muscles are, like if you're like, I don't know, how do I know if I have a weak or strong pelvic floor? We did a great episode, and actually I've had 2 friends now that have benefited from
the pelvic floor
pelvic floor
Yeah.
doctors that have examined them from frequent urination to being too tight to their pelvic floor was spasming and they needed to do some relaxation. However, listen to that episode and then figure out, and then you can kind of gauge what you're at. It was one of our first top, like maybe 20 episode, like in that range.
The pelvic floor health?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember what number. But if you go look at pelvic floor health, it's in the rundown.
We have so many episodes now. It's hard.
We have a lot of them.
We have a lot.
Yeah, female ejaculation. I'll describe it on what the hell is going on. So it's not urine, and it's also not urine, because it's coming out of the urethra, so there will be little traces of urea in there, most likely. But fun fact about male ejaculate, same thing. It comes out of the urethra, and there's little traces of urea in there too. But we're not debating if that's real, are we? Because then the patriarchy would be pissed. We're not doing that.
Church.
Preach. Yeah. And so around the urethra, there is a spongy tissue around it that protects it. And this is the male ejaculate too. It's erectile tissue. You have it around the urethra in a man or in a male body, and a urethra in a female body. And also all bodies have it. It's protecting their urethra. Now what happens when you get aroused is this spongy tissue, this erectile tissue, fills with blood. And as it fills with blood, it gets engorged. If you are hydrated, your blood has a lot of water in it. If you're dehydrated, your blood does not. And arousal is actually harder because of that, because there's less fluid to move into your genitals. So say you're really hydrated, you get aroused, so that spongy tissue surrounding the urethra gets a whole bunch of blood. And on a cellular level, the spongy tissue actually absorbs the water out of, or I think they call it diffusing the water out of the bloodstream, almost like a sponge. If you take a sponge and touch a dry sponge and touch it to water, how it sucks it up. And then it holds this water. And then you either press into the G spot, and that massages and pushes that fluid that's been built up out, the water that you just diffused from your arousal, or you have an orgasm. What happens with orgasm is the pelvic floor contracts and releases on its own, and it can squeeze that spongy tissue for you and push it out for you. And you can also have orgasms from clitoral stimulation and have squirting female orgasms. You can also squirt without having an orgasm, meaning it depends how you define orgasm. I define orgasm very broadly. I feel like a lot of people describe it as always being just like the pelvic floor contract and release. And I've experienced energy orgasms where my pelvic floor is not contracting and releasing, but it's very orgasmic energy, like in my sleep. And so I would like to just kind of broaden that and say that female ejaculation can happen where you squirt or gush and it just feels like a nice release, but it isn't always combined with the pelvic floor tighten and release. I think I can access those really easily. Like I can easily, well, not right now. Right now I'm kind of in like this turned off state, but it's pretty diverse in the way that it can happen. It can be hand in hand with the contraction of the pelvic floor and also can be its own thing. What do you experience usually? Chip.
So it's a very different for me when I have when I have this squirting scenario. So female ejaculation, between that orgasm, it's more intense for me. And it really, my pelvic floor, typically I can feel when it's going to happen. Like I can feel the buildup and I'm like, okay. And I can turn it off. So I can like really contract my pelvic floor and turn it off and like release. I typically using the magic wand, which is like a go-to. We just did a giveaway. If you're not following us on Instagram, we just gave away some magic wands. We're going to give away more. So follow us on Instagram because that's going to be next month. But that's like my ejaculation tool because it works brilliantly. That's how I learned how to ejaculate. I started doing my pelvic floor exercises. And so I can release that, and then contract my pelvic floor. And then I know that I won't release, but I've had times where I can't control the ejaculation, and it's happened. I don't know if I answered your question. I have a question. Is it possible? I guess anything's possible. However, is it possible to female ejaculate with penetration? Because I've never been able to achieve that. Like let's say PIV sex, when you're having penis and vagina sex. Is it able to have ejaculation from penis?
Totally.
Because I've never been able to achieve that.
It would be more so like the cock or the dildo or whatever you had inside of you is you're rubbing it against the G spot. That's like that part where from the inside it's rubbing the G spot, and on the other side of the G spot is that spongy tissue, or the G spot kind of is that spongy tissue that surrounds your urethra, and you push it and it can push it out. You know, like push that pressure can push it out.
That's my new goal.
So I think it's best accessed with you as the person being penetrated, you riding on top so that you can actually, in more like a grinding motion.
Yes.
It's not the bunny rabbit up and down thing, but more like a grinding motion. And you essentially rub the cock on your G-spot to the point where you can squirt.
I have to have external stimulation though, like to have
an orgasm.
Female ejaculation.
Oh, to ejaculate too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like in order for me to actually have the orgasm.
With the magic wand?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have, though, with my partner, had ejaculate without an orgasm. Did I answer your question, by the way?
I mean, yeah, I get it.
Because
fine.
Because for me, they're very, like, I associate female ejaculation with
orgasm.
Okay. For me, that they go hand in hand. So you get
the muscle contractions too every time that you ejaculate.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Because I can we're kind of release the muscle, I should say, rather than contract it. If I contract
you get
the muscle,
like that thing where when you're having an orgasm, the muscles do their own thing.
Yeah.
Where they go.
Okay.
And then you feel that like euphoric pleasure that comes from that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Tell our listeners how you learned to ejaculate, because a lot of people ask that. They're like, and I'll elaborate a little more, but how did you learn finally?
So I had no experience. I didn't even know what that was back when I was mid-20s. And I learned my first ejaculation experience was, I think I was 30 by the time not very long ago, 29 or 30. And I started wearing, because for years I had no experience with pelvic floor training, Kegels, really anything I didn't know. So I started doing Kegels after I started working at Pure Pleasure and learned about pelvic floor health. And I bought some, at the time I think they were Luna beads from Lalo, yeah. And I would wear those, which are they're weighted balls. Like everybody probably has heard of Kegel balls out there. And if you haven't, Benoit balls, they're pretty scientifically proven to help train your pelvic floor. They're like adding weights. And that, I think, built my muscle. And I was using the magic wand, the plug-in one to the wall one day with my ex-husband. And all of a sudden I just like fully, because I was contracting my muscle, contracting my pelvic floor muscle, and using the toy outside. And he was just playing like with the toy with me. And then all of a sudden it was just, I released the muscle, and then it all just came flooding out.
You opened the floodgates.
And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. But I was embarrassed because I have so much shame about wetting to bed.
Wetting the bed, yeah.
And because of of how my childhood was with peeing to bed until I was like, I don't even know how old.
Late bedwetter.
Like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So I was super ashamed. I was like, oh my God. And my ex-husband was like, what do you mean? That's amazing. Like, that's amazing. You can do that. And was really supportive. And I was like, really? But then I'm like taking off the sheets and all like, I don't want to do that again. And then I was like, wait, why am I saying this? So I think I link it to, and I know you're going to have a great educational piece for everyone, but I think that it was from doing my Kegels and really contracting my muscles and then releasing and then contracting while using the external toy, which was really pleasurable for me. That helped me have my first orgasm. And now I still can't gauge when exactly it's going to happen, because sometimes ejaculation will happen and I didn't expect it at all. And sometimes I expect it to happen and it doesn't. And then sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. I know. It's just very irregular and it's really hard for me to regulate it.
Well, I think there's a lot involved that you can't control, like hormones.
Oh yeah.
And then there's like stress and however you're arriving energetically and
fluids
emotionally.
I've had.
Yeah, if you've had a lot of wine, then then it's hard to ejaculate because you're dehydrated, so you have to be really hydrated. So there's a number of factors that come into play. And as you say that, I'm thinking about how I really haven't been doing a lot of Kegels lately, so maybe that's playing. But it really it really does feel like for you had this experience of opening the floodgates. And this is what happens for most folks. They don't ejaculate. They want to ejaculate. They try to ejaculate. It doesn't work. They eventually ejaculate, and all of a sudden they can ejaculate for a long time or forever or whatever that is. And it's like your body has to have the experience of knowing what it's like to fully surrender and let go in that way, because it's almost like, it's not indescribable, but it's challenging to just learn how to do it, because it's almost like letting go of a muscle that you don't even know you're holding on to.
For sure. It's funny that we're talking about this episode, or talking about this particular situation, this episode, because just the other day I met someone that was like, oh, you're from the Shameless Sex podcast. I have a question. How can I ejaculate? Like, it was just like a fan
this is
out
for
there.
You, fan.
And I was kind of going over this with her, and I just said it is a learned thing. And then once you learn it, you can tap into it and do it again and again, because you kind of like, your body kind of figures it out. So that's a great point.
It's like learned in the sense that your body needs to learn. It's not your head, right? It's not like
your
head being like, okay, so I do A and then I do B and then I do C and I can ejaculate. It's that your body needs to have the experience, and then once it knows, then you can do it. And so what April's saying is, that I think is really valid, is the Kegels and getting that muscle structure, and also just so that you have more control over your muscles. There's that piece. Number 2 would be to really make sure that you feel really safe and relaxed. If you're not relaxed, you're not going to be able to ejaculate. It's going to be really hard, because part of the ejaculation is this letting go of any sort of tightness in your pelvic floor that's holding the fluid back. Like any sort of clenching or kind of clamping is not going to allow the fluid out. And so you have to really fully relax, and therefore safety. And if you're playing with yourself or playing with someone else or other people, you want to make sure that you feel really safe there. And then part of that couldn't be the conversation around, what do we do if the fluid comes out, or if you're freaked out that what if it's pee, that whole thing, like what if it's urine, what do we do? Which it usually is not urine. It's pretty hard to
when you're using the bathroom,
when you're peeing, like it's like a quick hard flow. It's hard to stop when you're in the middle of it. It looks different. It smells different. It's different. And all the ejaculators I know are like, no, it's very different from when I pee, it's very different. So
it's pretty clear.
Yeah, it's clear. And sometimes it can sometimes there can be color too. It's different all the time.
It is different all the time, but it's totally never been uber dark.
Yeah.
I mean,
or like you just had some B vitamins and now there's a whole bunch of like bright
neon Gatorade looking mess in your bed. You're like, damn it. The fascinator. I'm telling you, get the fascinator.
Yeah, the waterproof blanket. It's really helpful. And so, and then of course being really hydrated is another important component. And so if you're freaked out though about those things, like April said, the fascinator, or you can lay down some dark colored towels, although they don't necessarily absorb all of the fluid, and just start to play and explore. And the other thing about this part of your body is that there's the urethral sponge that goes around the urethra, and then there's G-spot on one side. On the other side is the bladder. And so when you press into the G-spot, it can often feel like someone's pressing into your bladder, and your first instinct is like, oh God, I'm going to pee, I have to pee. When really what that can be is an indicator that you're actually about to ejaculate. So if you're freaking out and you feel like you have to pee, then maybe go pee and then come back and keep doing what you're doing, and you might be right on the precipice of ejaculation. So, and the same also applies to like prostate play. We're not going to do a prostate play on this episode, but the G-spot and the prostate are actually embryologically the same tissue. Prostate is actually located in a male body individual's ass.
In the bum.
And one of the last pieces I'll say, and this is just the Cliff Notes version of how to ejaculate, is that when you feel like you're getting close to ejaculating. Like it's like April said, you described it that sometimes you can feel that it's coming on, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you bear down, like you push out as if you're trying to push your genitals out to the floor, or like as if you're maybe trying to push urine out or something, it could actually instigate. I just had a moment of wondering if I just confused that with anal play. Because with anal play, if you bear down, I think I just totally swapped them.
I never bear down.
Yeah, because now that sounds backwards. If you were to bear down, if you were doing female ejaculation, you were to bear down, I wonder if you would actually maybe potentially push urine out. So
I can try it next time and tell you.
Yeah, try that.
You want me to do an experiment?
So with anal play, this is the thing with anal play. God, I am tired. If you bear down in anal play, bear down like pushing the genitals out to the floor, it actually can make it easier for you to have something go inside of you, like a butt plug or a cock or something.
Yes.
So but I think with I'm switching them. So scratch that, everyone. I'm not going to edit this out. I'm going to own my mistake. April, try bearing down next time. See what happens.
Well, there's still information in that, so it's good.
Yeah, just scratch that piece. But there's important parts. Like there's the relaxation part is really important. Trust and safety. And hydration and pelvic floor strength.
And I can say something to the tune of that. When I was having my single, fun with a lot of fun partners, and I was getting wild, I won't say I was unable to, I was unwilling to ejaculate. It never even came up because I wasn't comfortable. Yeah. So it took until I was in a regular partnership again for me to just kind of ease in and really tap into my body. So for all those folks out there, maybe that are ready to explore that, it's all about really just releasing and getting out of your head and getting into your body, as we always say.
I ejaculated with my very first orgasm that I ever had.
I can't believe that.
I know. Very first orgasm I ever had was with a little vibrator. It was actually by Vibratex. It was their water dancer.
Yes.
It was great little 1-speed, really powerful vibe. I don't recommend it as your first vibrator, though.
Is that on Pure Pleasure Shop?
Yeah, we have it at Pure Pleasure too.
It's
Water
an old
dancer.
school, but an oldie but goodie.
But it's small and it has these 3 prongs on top that are great for clitoral stimulation. But if it's your first vibrator, I recommend something with multiple speeds, so you can start with the lighter speeds, because this was like starting with a pretty strong vibrator. And I used it and I squirted my very first orgasm. And I kind of knew what it was, but I was also like, what the fuck? And I think I squirted for a couple of my first ones, and then I kind of turned it off subconsciously because it freaked me out a little bit. And I didn't understand it. And then when I was 20, that was when I was 18. When I was 25, I started this like sexual relationship with someone where they just like milked the shit out of my G-spot, and I squirted again. They turned it back on, and then from that point on, then I could squirt again pretty easily, or gush really easily. And so I go in, and that's like the beginning of the phases of in and out, and how easy it is for myself in my mind or my subconscious to turn it on and off based on experiences. So your mind and your mental state and your emotional state really have a huge play a huge part in the process and the experience.
One time I ejaculated so much I was almost like, there was like, oh, those chalk lines when people die, they like outline their bodies in chalk. I ejaculated so much. There was it puddled around my legs, and you could see the outline of my body. Like,
I think I've had that happen before.
And there was so much. It looked like you could see exactly where I was sitting, down to my legs and my butt and my back. Like there was a full heart-shaped imprint of where my butt was.
That's a good sign. That's a great sign of a good session, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. But I was like, damn it, I need to go do the laundry now.
So so since you're a newer ejaculator, I have one last question, and then we'll answer the sex question. Have you ever ejaculated with someone that wasn't down with ejaculation, where they were like, oh, weird?
No, because this is only the second partner that I've had an ejaculation experience with. Okay. I will say that I've never had anyone
shame you.
No, eat my ejaculate.
Oh, like try to drink it?
Yeah. That'd be kind of hot.
Yeah, they want it like all over their face.
My partner said he's had ejaculate before.
Yeah.
I was like, not mine.
Not mine.
Thank you I was not actually even thinking that, but that's interesting.
Me.
No, I was
Nope, not me.
I totally was just
No
saying
flannel
that out
pajamas.
loud, sharing. You're like, it wasn't me.
Nope.
I was like, oh, because, P.S. I don't know if I told you this, but I no longer am a cum swallowing virgin.
You finally swallowed.
Yeah, that's where it
ejaculate?
came from, because I was like, well, it's not like, because I was actually, some friends were shaming me a little bit for, it's a mutual good friend of you and I was shame
for not swallowing
cum ever, and they're like, you need to do that, and I was like, I don't need to do anything. And I was like, it's not like you've ever swallowed female ejaculate. He's like, yeah, I have. And then my partner was like, and I have too. I was like, what? And then I was like, well, that's not the point. The point is that it will happen, but it has to happen organically. So now it's happened organically 2 different times. And you know what I did that I thought was the ejaculate doesn't taste bad. However, the texture's a little hard for me.
It's a little, yeah.
But it was hot. Like, it was totally fun. And I'm no longer, so I've swallowed cum 2 times now.
You were 35 now?
And actually my partner
35 and just swallowed ejaculate
36.
first time. 36.
My partner was so funny. We were having sex and then he pulled it out and stuck it in my mouth so I would ejaculate to get me to do it.
I love that trick. That's a good trick.
I didn't know that was coming.
You
I was like, I was trying to fight it. I was like, what are you doing? And then he it was like all over my face.
Oh my God. He money shotted you?
Well, he was trying to get it in my mouth and I didn't know it was coming. So then I was like, and then I was like, oh, this is what's happening. So then it all happened. The cum swallowing.
But
with that.
So this is a good experience.
It was a great experience because oh, this is a funny one. A lot of information about me on this episode. Yay. Let's go back to the sex question.
All right. Anyways, sex question. So we're going to stop talking about April now. Thank you for sharing all of your.
I'm going to make sure that this episode maybe
the mom doesn't listen.
Gets bypassed by the mom and maybe the partner.
He doesn't listen.
I know.
Yeah. You're fine. Okay. Now we're changing gears, everyone. That was
P.S. I love your gnome sticker on your
they're
fighting over the fun cups.
Yeah, they're fighting. I have a sticker on my water bottle of two gnomes fighting over a menstrual cup.
They're really funny. From Fun Factory.
Yeah.
I was like trying to figure out, I was like, does she have 2 gnomes on her cup?
They had these stickers, all these like
gnomes are like their thing.
They love gnomes, and there are all these like male-bodied gnomes that were all loving on each other and hanging out in martini glasses, and they might be, I don't know.
Why didn't I get any stickers, Fun Factory?
I don't know, but I have some extras if you want them.
Okay.
All right, everyone, sex question. So this is not about ejaculation. The end of ejaculation. Can you tell we're tired? It's been a long day.
I'm not that tired.
I'm a little tired.
Yeah, I can tell you're tired. Drink more wine.
We've talked about this on past episodes, but if you have sex questions that you want answered immediately or just want sex advice or relationship advice, there's a really awesome app called Juicebox that is available for your iPhone. And it's a coaching app where you can actually work directly with coaches on your sex and relationship stuff. And I'm actually a coach on there. I have a limitation on how many clients I can take, but there's a possibility that I could work with you. And if not, if I'm full, then you can work with someone else. And it's really affordable. They answer your sex and relationship questions, and so it give you support within 24 hours. And you can actually get a 5 free day trial if you use the coupon code SHAMELESS in all caps to sign up. So just go onto the iTunes store and download the Juicebox app, and you can get your sex questions answered right away, because we don't always have time to answer every single sex question. We get a lot of them. Okay. So, hi ladies. Sex question. I had to have a full hysterectomy at 22 due to PCOS. I probably know what that is, but I'm not. Oh, and endometriosis. I know about endometriosis. At 25, I'm finally hormone free. No birth controls, hormones, or other additives to my body to regulate me. I am just in full menopause. And it's really not that bad. So full menopause at age 25. And this is a female-bodied individual. I have been with my spouse for 6 years, and we are currently living in separate states due to work responsibilities. I've been trying to rediscover myself and my body, and it's been a trying time with everything that has happened to me medically at such a young age. It also impacted my relationship with my spouse. We are working to communicate what it is that we want sexually and in the relationship, though it's not always easy. The distance really impacts our relationship, and we only see each other once a month. What do you recommend for navigating these issues over distance? So question 1. Question 2 is coming up in a second. My spouse has said that many times through our relationship, especially after the hysterectomy and the medicines went away, that he wanted to have more sex. Now it's even harder, and I feel a huge pressure to be everything he wants on the weekends we do see each other. Are there any retreats, classes, or books that you would recommend to help us? And lastly, some praise. Thanks for your advice. Any advice that you have, just listening to you all has helped me so much. I have tried a bunch of different things to get to know myself and my body again. The fact I'm listening to you, talking to my spouse about things I could never say out loud before, and entering this side of myself has made my spouse and I so happy. And I bought my first vibrator. Yay. Anyways, so questions. What do you do over this distance? How do you navigate these, trying to figure out who you are sexually and what you want sexually and in the relationship when you have distance? And 2, there's that pressure factor when you are together and then your partner wants a lot of sex. So it feels like there's this pressure to have a lot of sex. But you're actually not asking a question about that. What do you do about that? You're asking, are there any retreats, classes, or books that we recommend? We have a section on our website. I think it's under resources. That is book links that we put up there.
This is true.
For various links to books that we like. And they're based in different categories. So let's see. In terms of connection in a partnership, there's a lot of retreats and things available out there. I don't know where you live. And it depends on what it is that you want to do. The Gottman Institute, if you go to gottman.com and you go up or go into their events section, they have something called the Art of Science and Love, which is a couples workshop, and they do them all over the country. They travel all over the country and do this. So this is more so about love and communication and relationships and working together, which probably would be
a good foundation
for them. Yeah,
right.
It's because that's a big part. You have to communicate a lot from afar. Their touch isn't always on the table.
Communicating is everything when you're in a long distance relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, so that could help you build the foundation pieces. So they have these, I think they're just day longs that are all over. Maybe it's 2 days. But they're all over the country, so you can go look at that. And they've done a lot of really great research and work for couples and relationships. That's like their thing. Is
that GOTMAN?
Yeah, GOTTMAN.
GOTTMAN.
And then another thing would be if you are into Tantra, Source Tantra, which is Charles Mears and Leah Alchin. They do Tantra. They're based out of Boulder Creek, and they do Tantra. I think they do like Hawaii, West Coast, and East Coast retreats for couples. So if you want to learn more about that, it's a really great way to learn about just connection and how to touch each other in ways that are slower and softer, and eye gazing and breathing together and slowing down. And they have a lot of really great information on that. So if you go to sourcetantra.com, you can learn more about those retreats.
And he's like the grandfather of Tantra. He kind of helped make it more mainstream, though.
Of
mainstream
like Western,
Tantra, right.
The Western world. He's been doing Tantra for a long time. I would say that
he's in his 80s, I believe.
Somewhere he's like, I think he might be 80, but like the way that he moves and because of his tantric practices is what I think people would say is that he's in his early 60s, but he's not in his early 60s. So he's and he knows his stuff. I've taken his workshops before, and Leah is amazing too. So definitely worth checking out. And lastly, if you want to go to Mexico, there is a wonderful retreat by the Heart of Manifestation called Sacred Soulmates, and it's how to find your soulmate, but also how to flourish. And this is for singles and couples. And it's a retreat that will be in Mexico in November.
And we've had folks from the Heart of Manifestation project, on our podcast.
Yes, Lisa and Cher did the Heart of Manifestation episode, and then Lisa's partner Chris did the Be Empowered Jiu-Jitsu for Sex and Self-Defense episode, and they're all going to be facilitating this retreat in Mexico in November. So definitely go check out sacredsoulmates.com to learn more about this retreat. And this is if you want a little getaway with your partner, and you can
solo getaway.
Yeah, this is also for singles too. This isn't. Yeah, you can go on your own. It doesn't have to be just in a partnership. So those some recommendations for retreats. All right, Chip. So let's go to the first question. Oh, well, I do want to comment on that piece about the pressure. Now you feel pressured to have a lot more sex because your time is limited. So because they said they want a lot of sex. When you're together, it's like, oh my God, now we have to have a lot of sex.
That's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure.
And I think taking that pressure and not having, maybe if you have 3 days together, have a connection day where you can just fully immerse yourselves in each other's beings
without making penetrative sex a part of it.
Right. And just even be like, hey, let's take sex off the table and let's just connect by touch. And it doesn't even have to be sexual touch. It can just be it can be sensual touch, or it could be an embrace, and just connect with your breath or connect with conversation. And then maybe it will lead to that, but have no goals. I think that'd be a great start. And then maybe day 2, be like, hey, let's do this fun activity together, but not outside with each other's bodies, like we're painting on our bodies or something kind of playful.
Yeah, I like that. I wonder if it would feel less pressuring if it was an agreement that now that you're spending 3 days together, yes, you'll have a lot of sexual connection, but it didn't always have to be penetrative sex, right? Like if it could just be like caressing of the skin or dry humping or kissing all over the body.
And sometimes just taking sex off the table and just like, hey, we're not going to plan any sex this weekend. Let's do
all of a sudden you want it even more.
You want it even more. Yeah. And you're both like, damn it, can we just have sex?
Just put your cock
And sometimes just that alone is kind of hot. That's like what happens, I think, when I've done in the past with my ex-husband was the dry hump. We've talked about it before, but where it's like, nope, can't take your clothes off. Let's just dry hump each other. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Where you're like, can't have sex with me.
People miss that a lot. They miss just making out or dry humping and things. So yeah, I think that's a good, I mean, if you're interested in having this conversation with your partner, just telling them, being honest.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not saying that you're pressuring me necessarily, but I'm pressuring myself and I'm feeling pressured. And I'm wondering if we can work together and make some sort of agreement as to what sex can look like and open it up to be more diverse so that I feel less pressured. Again, you're not pressuring me, but I'm feeling pressured. And
I'm sure, Amy, you've had that before where you're leaving on a trip and you're like, oh my God. Or I know I can't speak for you, but I'll speak for myself where I'm like, I'm leaving on a trip. I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks. I should be having sex with you right now. And I do that to myself where with my partner, like, why aren't we doing this? I'm leaving. You're not going to see me. But it's like,
but do I even want to?
I know. I'm like, I just put that pressure on myself. Like, well, we should be doing that because we're not going to be together for a while. So why wouldn't we? And that's something that I've done since I was 18 with my first partner.
Yeah. There's some weird conditioning there that's getting in the way. When deep down, if you really thought about it, you probably wanted some other connection more than sex.
Maybe what would be a really cool idea to do together next time you're together, since hopefully you're in a long distance relationship and you're, being sexual with the media. So meaning like you're using media or I guess videos and things to communicate with each other so you can see each other and you're like masturbating together, but maybe masturbate, individually.
Ooh, I love mutual masturbation. You mean not together though in the same room?
Individually in the same room. Mutual
masturbation.
Right, but don't masturbate for one another. Do it for yourself in front of each other. Mutual masturbation.
Yeah.
That would be really fun. And then you could kind of talk about that the next thing, like, hey, let's get back because I know what you like. That could be a really fun way to spice things up because that's still sex, but with yourself, but next to the person that you love.
Yeah.
So
it's almost sounding like a Woody Allen quote.
Really?
Does he say, don't knock masturbation, it's sex with someone I love?
Oh.
people are hating on him because of all the controversy.
I know the Me Too stuff, and he's married to his daughter.
His stepdaughter?
His adopted daughter.
Adopted daughter, yeah. Yeah, and then his real daughter.
It was consensual. They've been together forever. I'm not going to make any opinions about that right now, off topic.
Yeah, I'm not getting into that one right now.
Nope.
Okay, so let's go back to the last piece, and then we'll be done. So what do we recommend in navigating the issues over distance? So rediscovering who you are as sexual beings and what you want in this relationship while there's distance. Yeah, that's really, really hard. But I think, again, with what we were referring to before, one, having that foundation of skills to be able to communicate about what it is, what your needs are. And to speak lovingly, and those are skills. And so if you don't have those skills, it's going to be really hard to
check
do.
out our workshop that's coming out to this
Yeah,
listener, because that'll give you some of the tools. Actually, it'll give you a lot of great tools for communicating with your partners and getting in touch with your deeper self to help you communicate. And there's lots of books too that you can start reading to help you.
Yeah, the workshop, we're hoping to have it launched in early October. So
Online workshop.
Yeah, and the first iteration will just be for women or female identified folks. But you could totally learn some things and take it home to your partner. But yeah, having the foundation for communication skills is really important. Otherwise, if you both don't have that, it's going to make that really hard, because communication is your biggest tool right now in a long distance relationship. And doing your own work, on your own, and really getting clear on what does my body want, what does my body desire, what are my needs, both like emotionally, spiritually, physically, and then communicating those lovingly to your partner. And one of those needs for you probably is to rework what the arrangement of when you're together and what sex looks like, so that you don't feel as pressured, because when you feel pressured, it's going to be hard for you to be more present and to really enjoy the experience. But getting the foundation of those skills for communication, and then operating from that place and continuing the conversations with your partner, creating sacred time probably too. I don't know. It's hard to do long distance, and if you're not big phone people, then like April's saying with the videos, FaceTime or Skype, like scheduling at least once a week to have something along those lines where you're not talking about the everyday, like, what'd you do today? Talk about the real shit.
And also, I'm sorry to interrupt you, by the way, but when you're with your long distance partner, if it's via phone, have the TV off and really be present with them.
Or don't be on your laptop.
Yes,
or
tune in.
Yeah.
Because I can only speak for myself again. I tend to be
double task or multitask.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm like sweeping the floor, vacuuming. No, not vacuuming, because they would hear that.
Yeah, totally.
I'm totally doing stuff. I'll put in my earphones and fold laundry, and I'm like not totally focused. Sometimes I am, but I'll be online shopping while my friend's on speaker.
Yeah. So and even with that too, it's, if you're just talking about like what you did that day, that's cool. But like, if you really want to connect with someone, talk about the hard stuff. Talk about the exciting stuff. What really drives you? What was like the highlight of your like heart's desire today? Like what really moved you today? What was really challenging for you today?
Perhaps you can do some goal writing together, like while you're on, FaceTime, or not on the phone, but when you can like look at each other, like, let's write down our goals, like together and individually, and I don't know. I think those types of activities for couples, for partnerships, are super powerful.
Well, it's cool that we have this technology where we can actually see each other now. I mean, back in the day, that was not available.
Have a shared Google Docs with your manifestations.
You could do like the old school things were back in the day when they actually do handwritten letters.
Write letters to each other. Love letters.
Oh my God, my handwriting
I
is
kind of
so
want a
bad.
long distance pen pal.
Okay, so April's address is 55555.
For real though, I used to write. I had like 4 or 5 pen pals when I was little. I loved that shit.
Were they in prison?
No, they were like in Japan.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Lucky. Yeah, pen pals. I forgot about that. I had
They used
pen
to send me
pals
cool shit, like really good cookies
from
that had
Japan?
chocolate in the middle.
You got cookies from Japan?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Did you ever get a
I had to hook.
You got a... Wow. I want one.
Well, I'm sure they're out there.
I'm sure that you have some fans in Japan.
This is the second time in 24 hours that I've talked about pen pals with someone. My friend yesterday on the phone was like, have you ever gone back on your high school stuff and seen the amount of letters like we used to write each other? And I was like, no. She's like, I want a pen pal. And now we're talking about it. That's weird. That's a sign.
So you need a pen pal. All right,
I'm
everyone.
just going to start writing you letters up in your area.
If you want to be April's pen pal.
Yeah.
It says but they're kind of like a mystery human. Usually you don't know them.
No,
right?
I knew all mine.
You never met them, though. Did you?
Yeah.
The people in Japan?
Well, she lived in the U.S. and then she moved.
Oh, okay. I just keep...
And then it was one of her friends.
I bet you could find someone, a nice human in prison that needs a friend, and you can just start writing them.
Female prison.
Why female prison?
Because I'm sure that if Well, I don't want
You
to
don't
be
think
sure.
your partner would be stoked? Are you
I'm
ready?
sure that there might be a weird vibe if I'm running to men in prison. What are you doing? I'll just write my prison pen pal. He asked me for naked pics, but I told him I couldn't send them.
Not gonna do it.
Oh God.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
I mean, it might be the same in the female prison sector. However, I was just thinking about to empower women on some level.
Ooh, I like this idea. I think that you just had a big breakthrough on what you should really be doing with your time. I think it's a really great idea.
All my extra time.
She has no extra time. All right, we're really dragging this
Rambling.
one out, so we're gonna call it a day.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's send them with one bit of empowering information.
Okay. Get a prison pen pal.
Get a prison.
No, I mean, folks in prison. I mean, just think of it. First of all, our prison system is fucked. It's fucked up.
Oh, it's the worst
terrible.
in the world.
It's terrible. So I'm actually being serious when I say
I would say I would write letters to people that were convicted for like marijuana growing or possession.
I don't know. Can you choose the conviction?
I don't know. looking for a marijuana convict circa 1975.
Yeah, but I mean, the humans are humans, and so I think that if people do have time,
it's supposed to be rehabilitation.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Well, because this is the thing about the prison system. We're just like cutting humans off from connection, hoping that they fix themselves. That's stupid.
Look at what is happening with folks in the rehabilitation system in Sweden. It's a great example. They have the tendency to their crime is way lower, and they actually
treat them like humans,
and they have therapy, and they can go outside, and even convicted killers, and it's actually quite beautiful.
They probably have a really good pen pal system.
They probably do. Anyway, so that's our last.
Oh yeah, words
bit
of
of
wisdom,
wisdom.
empowerment. Okay, we'll do it for real.
I think there were lots of good bits of information in this podcast, even amongst our tired ways of our travel day. But we love all of our listeners.
We
y'all.
love all of you so much,
and you help us really love what we do every day. And thank you for listening and tuning in every Tuesday, because we do love you. We think of you often. And Ms. Baldwin, I love you.
I love you too, Chia.
All right. So, y'all, we'll see you next Tuesday. Ciao for now.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.